What do you mean Quetzalcoatl is living in the Chrysler Building? There's no way. Or is there? Today's film is an absolute delight. I mean, if you like movies about winged serpents flying around New York, completely unseen by the 8 million residents of the town. Our story swirls up a bit of mystery, monsters, and merriment as we follow the marvelous Michael Moriarty. Good God, that's a lot of alliteration. Mr. Moriarty plays Jimmy Quinn, a wannabe jazz musician and petty crook. After participating in a diamond heist, Jimmy hides out from the police inside the Chrysler Building and discovers the elevated lair of the beast Q living inside the spire. Jimmy sees this as a surefire money-making opportunity and, for a finder's fee, promises to lead detectives to the creature's nest. Of course, this slithery dragon didn't just show up here, and if you're thinking that a ritualistic cult is behind it, well, you're not wrong. With a spooky, fantastical score, great on-location shots, and stop-motion animation that would make Harry Harryhausen proud, you'll be sure to walk away from this film with a new appreciation for window washers and rooftop sunbathers. And the cast? Forget about it. I mean, Shaft's in it. From Shaft. And Bill from Kill Bill 1 and 2. So watch Q, the Winged Serpent, and keep watching the skies. Oh, hey, can you put some more ice in this? I'd appreciate it. There's nothing like a good summertime vacation movie to get you thinking about all the joys of summer. And if there's one movie that packs all the joy, frustration, relaxation, and personal growth that can happen on a summer holiday, well, it's this week's picture. Meet Jack Chester, an overworked air traffic controller played by Canadian national treasure and, just a treasure period, John Candy. Jack is so burned out from fighting houseflies and never having taken a vacation before that his boss forces him to take a break for the sake of his sanity. Piling his brood in the car, Jack heads to the Sunshine State in search of his much-needed peace. And things get off to a terrific start. I mean, besides his god-awful sunburn, basically breaking into the wrong family's summer home, and forming a mortal enemy with pompous, trophy-hoarding local yachtsman Al Pellet, Richard Crenna, making you forget he ever played a noble soldier. But just as Jack is once again about to hit his breaking point, he tipsily stumbles into a friendship with the piratey local restaurateur Scully, played with comedic aplomb by the great Rip Torn. Scully offers to turn Jack into a bona fide sailor, which may come in handy when challenging Al Pellet to his monopoly on first-place regatta finishes. Directed by comedic legend Carl Reiner, and also starring Karen Austin, Cary Green, Joey Lawrence, whoa, and John Larroquette, there's no way you'll walk away from this film without wanting to take to the high seas yourself. So watch Summer Rental. And don't forget the sunscreen. I smell something. Fire? Comedy? Romance? All of the above? Well, if you're watching today's movie recommendation, I'd say D is the answer. Meet C.D. Bales, fire chief of the town of Nelson and a modern-day Cyrano de Bergerac. Ah, C.D., I get that. Now, C.D., also known as Charlie, is a little sensitive about his oversized sniffer and has no trouble playfully assaulting his way through the town. Charlie's world is rocked, just a bit, by the arrival of beautiful and brainy astronomer Roxanne Kowalski. Right off the bat, C.D. is quite enamored with Roxanne. However, in his mind, his nose creates a bit more distance between them than he'd like. And although never one to back away from a challenge, Charlie does struggle with finding the courage to tell her how he feels. Enter Chris McConnell, new firefighter in town and most likely to be picked for Naval Aviator Beach Volleyball. Chris is undoubtedly a handsome and humorous fella, even if unintentionally, and Roxanne finds herself drawn to this tall drink of water. Only problem? Chris don't know how to talk to women. like at all. Lucky for him, his new fire chief is up for some romantic tutelage and living vicariously through Chris's actions. And maybe some minor gaslighting. Anywho, what follows is a fun-filled romp of frivolity, feelings, and firefighting, brought to you by the incredible talents of Steve Martin, Daryl Hannah, Rick Rossovich, Shelley Duvall, Fred Willard, and a whole slew of supporting talent. So watch Roxanne. How's it going? And if you'd like to have a drink sometime, check this box. Oh my. A silent film from 1927, starring the preeminent actor of his day? Well, we'll give this one 4 thumbs up. Meet Alonzo the Armless, a brooding and shifty-eyed criminal hiding in plain sight as the member of a traveling carnival, played by perhaps the greatest star of the silent film era, Lon Chaney. Alonzo entertains the crowds by using his feet to throw knives and even fire a rifle at fellow performer and daughter of the circus's owner, the beautiful Nanon, played in one of her earliest film roles by Hollywood grande dame Joan Crawford. Alonzo, along with circus strongman Malabar the Mighty, both harbor feelings for Nanon, but she is only comfortable around Alonzo due to her debilitating phobia about men's hands. Sorry, Malabar. But spoiler alert, Alonzo may have more hands and arms than you think. Upon receiving a loving embrace from Nanon, Alonzo's spirits rise on the hopes that one day they may be more than friends, only to have his hopes dashed when he realizes she can never find out why he is Alonzo the Armless. Directed by Todd Browning in one of his 10 collaborations with Chaney, this film is considered one of the 1001 movies you must see before you kick the bucket. So get on it and watch The Unknown, and this film will no longer be unknown to you. What? Sweet Ursa Major, are you gonna love this week's film? It's been a little while since your old pal Pete, the dead party pirate, sat around the campfire with you and shared a cinematic tale. Well, grab your camping gear, folks. We got ourselves a cult classic. Meet Mike Kelly, a forest ranger doing his best to keep things peaceful at the unnamed national park he watches over. After Ranger Mike and his naturalist friend Arthur move all the bears in the park in order to keep things safe for that season's campers, a rogue bear starts rampaging through the mountainside like Jason Voorhees on a summer stroll. Turns out, this ain't no regular bear, but a 15-foot-tall descendant of prehistoric grizzlies. Although it's 18 feet tall according to the movie's poster. Now, Ranger Mike has nothing but trouble trying to convince the park supervisor that this is a dangerous animal that needs to be stopped professionally, and not by a bunch of amateur rambunctious hunters running wild all over the mountain. I swear this plot seems very familiar. So much of this movie is absolute ridiculousness, and I gotta say I'm here for it. Released in 1976, otherwise known as the year after Jaws came out, so naturally there was a desire to follow a nature-based horror plot in order to reel in an audience. Directed by William Girdler and starring Christopher George as Ranger Mike and Richard Jekyll as the quint-like naturalist Arthur. This summer hit became the most successful independent film ever until unseated by John Carpenter's Halloween just 2 years later. So watch 1976's Grizzly, or Killer Grizzly as it was known on TV, because they didn't want it confused with Grizzly Adams. Yep. I don't know. I can't see the bottom. For those of you with a claustrophobic aversion to aquatic, pressure-filled dark places, you may want to skip this week's feature. But if you're a lover of high-stakes, water-based action-adventure stories featuring deep-sea non-terrestrial intelligence, well, saddle up. Meet Virgil Bud Brigman, foreman of the underwater drilling rig known as Deep Core. Bud is a man with a lot on his mind, mostly keeping his crew of oil workers alive as they dig for liquid gold with over 1,000 feet of water on top of them. When a nearby U.S. submarine loses contact with the surface, Bud and his crew are enlisted to help a group of Navy SEALs find and board the sub in search of survivors. Joining the Navy SEALs as they search for the sub is the designer of Deep Core, Dr. Lindsay Brigman. Yep, Bud's estranged wife, who wants to make sure nothing fatal happens to her rig. And maybe her husband, too. It's on this mission that members of the Deep Core crew begin to come in contact with unexplainable entities that seem to be rising out of the massive abyss of the Cayman Trough. Are these luminescent underwater wonders a terrifying harbinger of doom? Or perhaps a literal life preserver? Directed by action-adventure aficionado James Cameron and starring Ed Harris, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, and Cameron fave Michael Biehn, this film features a scene so captivating you won't even notice a camera assistant wiping off the lens during the shot. So watch The Abyss and keep your pantyhose on. If I know people, and I think I do, I imagine a fair amount of you have wondered, if only there was an 80s comedy from the folks behind a 90s sketch show that satirized 70s action and blaxploitation films. Well, boy howdy are you in luck. This week's film stars triple, quadruple, quintuple threat Keenan Ivory Wayans as Jack Spade, the most lethal secretary the military has ever produced. Jack has recently been discharged from the Army, and upon returning home to the town of Any Ghetto, USA, he must figure out who's behind the demise of his beloved brother Junebug. Jack discovers that a nasty epidemic of purchasing gold chains is behind all the turmoil on the streets of his town. All signs point to the nefarious activities of Mr. Big being the cause. No, not the Sex and the City one, the crime lord one. Yeah, that one. Under the guidance of his idol and local hero, John Slade, Jack takes to the streets with an army of good guys to disrupt Mr. Big's criminal enterprise. And wouldn't you know it, they kick a lot of ass and take a lot of names. Also starring Bernie Casey, Janae Dubois, Dawn Lewis, Isaac Hayes, Jim Brown, David Allen Greer, Damon Wayans, John Vernon, and a bunch of other comedy greats. You'll find yourself entertained by ridiculous stunts and stuntmen, bubbly practical effects, and callback jokes so delightful you'll be riffing on them for days. So watch I'm Gonna Get Ya Sucker and order one rib. Just the one. You sure are hungry. Aliens just landed in Washington, D.C.? You think they would have gone somewhere important? Meet Klaatu, a tall drink of water of a fella who just happens to be an extraterrestrial explorer. After arriving on Earth via his super speedy spaceship, Klaatu receives nothing but resistance from our fellow Earthlings, even though he says he comes in peace and goodwill. Luckily, Klaatu's got a hell of a bodyguard, the laser beam shooting robot named Gort. And if he needs to, he'll use him. But for now, Gort's on standby. After getting shot and then escorted to Walter Reed Hospital, Klaatu escapes his captor's clutches and blends in among the residents of a D.C. boarding house. With the help of a young boarder named Bobby, Klaatu tracks down one of Earth's mightiest scientists and prepares to tell the whole world that if they don't start cooperating with each other, it's bye-bye birdie to the whole darn planet. Along the way, Klaatu takes Bobby's mother Helen into his confidence and tells her that if anything happens to him, it's up to her to save the day. Will the people of Earth join Klaatu's interplanetary organization and live in peace? Or will they pursue their present course of action and face obliteration? Starring the solid Michael Rennie as Klaatu and the versatile Patricia Neal as Helen, this film is one of the most influential sci-fi flicks ever and has been inspiring folks ever since it arrived on the gort-hued silver screen back in 1951. So watch The Day the Earth Stood Still and Klaatu Barada Nikto. You know what sounds good? A relaxing week in a deluxe cabin, enveloped by soaring pines, and the high-speed thrills of a souped-up jet boat. Vacation off the starboard bow. Meet Chet Ripley, a Chicago family man nostalgically drawn to the shores of his youth. Grabbing his brood and heading up to Wisconsin's fictional Lake Potawatomi, Chet hopes to relive the joy of his childhood vacations and instill in his family a love for the great outdoors. And things are going pretty great for about the first 15 minutes of the movie. Enter Roman Craig, a pompous, showboating 80s investment banker. Oh, and he's Chet's brother-in-law. Roman and his family have descended upon Chet's vacation as a fun, uninvited surprise in order for their families to enjoy the lake together. And everybody loves Roman's unchecked bravado and lust for life. I mean, everybody but Chet, who just wants to tour the lake in comfort, while Roman wants anything but what Chet wants. Will these two learn to cohabitate in their cabin? Or will conflicting ideas of what a vacation's supposed to be claw this family apart? And why is Roman really invading Chet's vacation? Well, you'll just have to watch to find out. Directed by Howard Deutsch, written by the prolific John Hughes, and starring comedic legends John Candy and Dan Aykroyd, this film also features the film debut of Annette Bening. And I guarantee you, this movie will get you thinking you can ski on one leg, battle a bald-headed killer bear, and wolfed out a 96-ounce steak, gristle included. So watch 1988's The Great Outdoors. I'm going to watch it right now. It's got clasps. Sometimes saving yourself by unearthing your inner hero is the greatest buried treasure you can find. Ooh, getting pretty philosophical with today's picture. Meet Linda Little, a corporate strategist and the person everyone in the office can count on to get the job done, while simultaneously wolfing down a tuna Sammy. When her longtime boss passes away, and his son Bradley steps in as CEO, Miss Little still believes she'll be given the VP promotion she was promised. Yeah, good luck, Linda. For blood is thicker than water. But apparently fraternity brothers are thickest of all, and Bradley gives Linda's promotion to his old frat brother Donovan. Confronting Bradley about this terrible slight, Linda gets herself invited on a trip to Bangkok to discuss a new company merger. And while Linda and Bradley don't make it to Bangkok, they do embark on an unexpected tropical journey. It's then that Linda, Lord of the Flies, her way to increased confidence and shows Bradley just how much of an essential worker she is. I'd say our Miss Little doesn't stay little for long. Will these two unlikely compatriots find a bit of sandy common ground? Or will their ugliest survival instincts kick in as they sink into their new reality? Starring Rachel McAdams as Linda and Dylan O'Brien as Bradley, this film is directed by horror aficionado Sam Raimi, so prepare ye for a funny and bloody good time. This film also features a score by the great Danny Elfman, which evokes a romantic suspense thriller while also bringing a kooky, spooky vibe. So throw on your sunscreen and watch 2026's Send Help. And remember, you gotta watch it for yourself. No one's coming to watch it for you.